Sports, your new home for NASCAR, presents the 43rd annual Daytona 500. Bill Elliott has his fourth pole for the great race. First time in a Dodge, and Stacy Compton, his first front row start ever. Row 2, two-time 500 winner Sterling Marlin, and Thursday's qualifying race winner Mike Skinner. Row 3, Jerry Nadeau having a little fun here. Last fall's Atlanta winner, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. a close second in the Twins Thursday. There's the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt, the 98 champion of the 500 and last year's runner-up. Jeff Burton. Andy Houston is a rookie. Ward Burton, last year's Darlington winner, row 5. In the 6th row, former Pepsi 400 winner Jimmy Spencer and Rusty Wallace, who's not yet won a restrictor plate race, maybe today. Row 7, Jeff Gordon, the 97 and 99 500 champ, and Ken Schrader, who has 7 top 10 finishes in this race. Jason Leffler makes his Winston Cup debut. He's out of USAC Midget Racing, and last year's Rookie of the Year, Matt Kenseth. Jeff Purvis in the big dance for the first time in 5 years, and Ricky Craven, who finished 3rd here in 97. Michael Waltrip, 5th in 1999, and Dave Blaney in his 2nd 500. Youngest driver in the field, Casey Atwood, age 20, and Mark Martin, 3rd in 1995, his best finish. Kenny Wallace just picked up a sponsor this morning for that car, 6th start for the veteran, and Tony Stewart, who won 6 races last year. Steve Park, last year's Watkins Glen winner, and Kurt Busch, the rookie from the NASCAR Truck Series. Mike Wallace, the middle of the 3 racing brothers from St. Louis, and there's Kyle Petty carrying Son Adams colors. Row 15, Buckshot Jones racing for the Pettys, and Ricky Rudd finished 3rd way back in 81. Dale Jarrett is the defending champion of the 500. Joe Nemechek makes his 7th start in this race. Johnny Benson, who led last year until 5 laps to go. There he's still saying, what happened? Terry Labonte, the Iceman, 2-time Winston Cup champ. Bobby Hamilton, 11th Daytona 500 start. And John Andretti won here in July 97. There's the Winston Cup champ, Bobby Labonte, 2nd in 1998. Jeremy Mayfield ran 3rd in that year's race. Robert Presley makes his 8th 500 start. And from Virginia, Elliott Sadler, his 3rd 500. Robbie Gordon made his Winston Cup debut here in 1991. The open wheeler joins truck champ Ron Hornaday. Finally, Brett Bodine gets the last provisional start, the 13-year veteran from New York State. Today, 43 cars will try to complete the 200-lap, 500-mile distance. Posted awards, $11 million. They can go 45 to 55 laps on a tank of fuel. The vehicle is in. The 43rd annual Daytona 500 is set to get underway. Terry Bradshaw waves the green flag. We're racing.
Boy, those 2 Dodges up front, Bill Elliott and Stacy Compton, got a well of a start, and these guys have not been comfortable with their cars. So I'm anxious to see if they can stay up there.
Yeah, and they haven't been on the racetrack together either, so that's, that's something they set up prior to the start of the day's race.
What happened to that 2nd row? It looked like Sterling Marlin did not come up through the gears quickly.
Boy, when somebody in front of you doesn't go, it really backs the field up right on a start like that.
They're not wasting time. They're 3 wide, 4 wide down the back straightaway. There goes teammates Mike Skinner in the 31, Dale Earnhardt in the black 3.
I think what we saw, same thing we saw in the 125s, getting a big jump on a restart is not necessarily an advantage.
From 4th starting spot, here comes Skinner on the outside trying to lead lap 1. He's passed Compton. He's caught Elliott. Elliott drops low to lead the first lap.
Charlie Marlin's right there too, looking on the outside, and he's got Dale Jr. pushing him. I know Bill's intentions are to try to stay up front if he can. That's what his plan was. I talked to him earlier, and he said, if I can hold this thing out front, that's what I want to do. Boy, Earnhardt's back in the sucker hole early. Whew.
Sterling Marlin on the outside for the lead.
Well, maybe not. They're in no sucker hole yet because they're all over the place.
3 wide in the back straightaway.
We heard Earnhardt yesterday say in practice that his car wouldn't pull up like it had been, and Larry, we've got a tremendous headwind down the back straightaway today.
And it'll make those guys think, hey, my motor don't seem to be running. I'm not seeing the RPMs, but it's because that wind is buffeting that car, and it's almost just like running against a brick wall.
Sterling Marlin to lead lap 2. We have every reasonable hope of a record number of lead changes for this race today.
Talking about that wind up the back, what a driver looks at is his tachometer. when he looks down at his tach and he says, I've been turning 7,000 all weekend long. What have y'all done to me? I'm 6,800. This thing won't run. And of course, what's the crew chief saying, Larry?
I'm telling you, you got a headwind down that backstretch, but this is wind-wise. It's similar to conditions to what these guys had in happy hour, so that's one thing that's not a curve thrown at them today.
Earnhardt backing up. The battle's on point. Marlin has company, 99, Jeff Burton, and 8, Earnhardt Jr.
Talking to some of the drivers, some of these cars are pretty free, pretty loose on new tires on the start, and that'll make them fast. Some of the other cars are a little tighter, and that'll make them slow.
What they'll do, they'll start these cars low on air pressure because as they run and the heat builds in the tires, the air pressure builds up. Yeah, it will. The rear end will want to come around when the air pressure's down.
It's like driving on a low tire on your passenger car. You can feel the low tire wobbling around. They won't be that way long, I can tell you that.
Sterling Marlin in his 20th 500 appearance. He's won twice, and he's now led in 12 of those 20 starts.
It don't matter who's leading. We still got a 43-car lead draft.
Jeff Gordon has fallen from 13th to 24th. Earnhardt from 7th back to 13th. Challenge up front. Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Bill Sr. down on the inside making a move on Bill Elliott as they head down toward turn 1. This is where the cars have really been aggressive. The guys have really been using that bottom apron down there to get a position on guys going into turn 1. It's been kind of breathtaking.
Even up here.
Well, if I'd have been up here 2 or 3 years ago watching these guys, I'd have retired then. Drivers have tunnel vision. You basically see what's going on right in front of you, and it's up to the spotters and everybody else to see what's going on around and behind you, and they ain't been telling me the truth.
3 abreast. Elliott caught in the middle now. Marlin fights his way back to the front. Earnhardt is leading that high line around. Mike Skinner right behind him. And then rookie Andy Houston.
And Sterling Marlin's back out front again, guys. That car, that proves one thing. That 125 win was no fluke. It wasn't all about just being in the right place at the right time. He's got a pretty fast hot rod there.
Tony Stewart trying to climb the ladder. He's 19th right now. Pulls alongside Jason Leffler. That's Mark Martin just in front of him.
Tony Stewart has patience written on his dashboard. They made it bigger for the race today. Takes up the whole dashboard today because he is not a patient driver. He's a very aggressive driver.
Marlin just leads Rusty Wallace now on the inside. Wallace has fought his way up into the top 3 in car 2.
Now they got Jeff Burton in that 99 car caught in the middle. Little help from behind, but the outside row and the inside row is the ones that are moving.
That's right, because when you're in the middle like that, the wind's buffing off of all the cars. It really slows you down.
Rusty Wallace has never won a restrictor plate race at Daytona. He has come from 12th on the grid to 2nd and brought Earnhardt back up front with him.
When you're in the middle, as a driver, you're saying, give me a hoe, get me a hoe. I got to get in somewhere. And they're saying there is no hoe. You're going to be 43rd when you finally get in line again. And the thing about it is, Mike, that's it. The driver panics. He's in there. He knows he's losing spots, and he knows it's going to take him forever to work his way back up there. So it takes the crew chief to calm him down.
I can't help but notice the front of the roof here on Earnhardt's car. It's like it's buffeting. It's because Rusty Wallace, the car in front of him, with that roof flap across the roof, or that roof fin, it's putting dirty air, and it's making the air on Earnhardt's car mad. It don't.
Right at the cowl opening, I believe, and that'll make an engine run terrible because it messes up the airflow into the air box that leads to the carburetor.
Now it's Jerry Nadeau pulling the outside train. Out there in lane 2, Jeff Gordon right behind him, and Ricky Craven. Nobody can do anything with Marlin.
He's just sitting there kind of pulling these cats around, and, Dale's figured out he doesn't want to be on the outside. He wants to be on the bottom today because he went way back, about 8th or 9th, but he's worked his way back up there in the top 4 or 5.
Pole sitter Bill Elliott has drifted back to 21st. Dick Berggren?
10 different teams changed engines for this race. One of them is Rusty Wallace in the number 2 car. He is coming into this race with an engine that is just barely going to make 500 miles. They did not want to start with an engine that had any miles on it at all. That's how hard they're pressuring to win this event.
These restrictor plate engines, they build them with light parts, light rods, light pistons, small bearings. Friction is a big enemy of a restrictor plate engine. So they try to keep everything as free as they can in the motors, but 500 miles is a real stretch for the parts they've got in these engines.
John Andretti started 36.